Hello students, today we are going to start our study on minerals. Last week we covered vitamins and this week we're going to be covering minerals, and at the end of the week on Friday we are going to have a quiz on both vitamins and minerals. So let's jump right into minerals. Minerals are another essential nutrient that our body needs. And remember, minerals do not provide our body with any calories, but they do not provide us with any energy, but they help our bodies maintain those things. So some of the minerals that we're going to talk about today include sodium, calcium, phosphorus, copper, iron, magnesium, fluorine, potassium, zinc, chloride, and iodine. Now, you may have heard of these before in science class. And all of these minerals are elements that can be found on the periodic table. So you can see that F over here is for fluorine. You can see that Na is on there as well for sodium. So all of these minerals that we're going to talk about are substances that can be found on the periodic table. While viewing this lecture, you are going to need to find the piece of paper titled Minerals. This is under Assignments in Microsoft Teams. So go ahead, take a moment to pause this video, split your screen between the video and your Word document so that you can type in the answers as you view the lecture. Okay, first let's look at what minerals are. Minerals are inorganic elements that come from the soil and water. Those minerals are then absorbed by plants or eaten by animals. Okay? Once we eat a plant or animal, that we then ingest those minerals. Okay? Minerals are found in nearly all foods. We need specific minerals, some in large amounts and some in small amounts. It is needed for us to eat minerals or ingest them in food every day. Minerals cannot be produced in our bodies, therefore it must be found in our food. And it helps regulate the chemistry of our bodies and as well as our body functions. Like vitamins, minerals must be ingested, which means eaten, in order to get them inside of our bodies. And minerals provide 0 calories per gram. So minerals do not provide our bodies with any energy. Vitamins and minerals are needed for regulating our body functions. They do not provide any calories, again, but they are still essential and can only be obtained from food or supplements. When discussing minerals, there are 2 types. The first type are known as macro minerals. Macro refers to the minerals that are needed in large amounts. Examples of that would be calcium, phosphorus, and magnesium. Then we have trace minerals. Trace minerals are going to be needed in the body in small amounts, and they include iron, iodine, fluoride, zinc, and copper. When discussing minerals, it's also important to know about electrolytes. Now, when we did our water unit, we talked a little bit about electrolytes and sports drinks and water, but remember that electrolytes help maintain fluid balance in the body. It helps regulate heartbeat function. It helps muscle and nerve action. Electrolytes can get easily unbalanced as a result of dehydration, illness, and diarrhea. And some macro minerals are called electrolytes. Okay, so the minerals that are also called electrolytes are called potassium, sodium, and chloride. Now let's look at some specific minerals. The first one we're going to start with is the mineral that is calcium. Calcium is probably the most familiar mineral that you are most familiar with. And the function of calcium is to create strong bones and teeth, okay? And also it is used for blood clotting as well as bone development. The food sources of calcium include milk and other dairy products, as well as dark green vegetables. Okay? If a person does not get enough calcium over time, a deficiency, which means not enough calcium, can lead to osteoporosis, which is that kind of that shrinking or that curve of the spine as one grows older. Now, when we're talking about toxicity, we're talking about having too much of a mineral. So there is nothing that is toxic about getting an enormous amount of calcium. So calcium is good for you, and there's not any really negative effects of getting too much calcium as far as it being toxic to your body. However, it can lead to some problems in some people, but it is not considered toxic. Next, we have phosphorus. The function of phosphorus is it is combined with calcium to help aid in bone structure. It also helps release energy. Phosphorus is found in avocados, raisins, whole grains, certain meats, in eggs, in milk, and in soy products. And again, a deficiency in phosphorus can lead to osteoporosis, and there are no toxicity diseases. Then we have magnesium. The function of magnesium is that it works with calcium and phosphorus for strong bones and teeth, and it also helps with nerve and muscle function. The food sources or places where magnesium can be found are going to be in green leafy vegetables, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. Deficiencies are rare but can include bone issues and extreme sickness, and there is no evidence of any toxicity-related complications. Next, we have sodium. Sodium has a very specific function in our body, okay? And it is an electrolyte that helps maintain the balance of water flow in and out of our cells, okay? Sodium is typically found in table salt, cured meat, and packaged foods. Now, there is no such thing as a deficiency in sodium. However, we can have too much sodium. And too much sodium, okay, can actually, if ingested enough sodium, it can in fact kill a person. So that would be in an extreme case, like if somebody drank like a bottle of soy sauce, that would definitely be enough to kill a person. But most of the time we see sodium toxicity in people who have high blood pressure. So continuing to eat more than the recommended amount of sodium, which is 2,300 milligrams per person per day. And if someone for an extended period of time continually goes over that amount of sodium, it can contribute to high blood pressure. Next, we have chloride. No, that does not say chlorine, not taking that's in a pool. That is toxic. Okay, I'm talking about chloride. Chloride is an electrolyte that helps with fluid balance. It is also part of our stomach juices and helps during digestion. The food sources of chloride, okay, include table salt and many vegetables. Okay, if we do not have enough chloride, it can lead to dehydration, but too much can lead to high blood pressure. Potassium is also a very important mineral. It helps regulate the heartbeat and regulates fluid in the muscle and nerves to prevent cramping. Potassium is very important for athletes, okay? The food sources of potassium can be found in fruits like oranges, peaches, pears, bananas, dates, apples, raisins, and avocados. Now, if a person is deficient in potassium, they can get cramps such as leg cramps, arm cramps, and that just deals with how the blood is circulating through their body. It can also be an irregularity of heart action that slows down blood pressure. So potassium is one of those things that if a person is being treated for a heart condition, their potassium level is going to be very closely monitored. And there is no toxicity related to potassium. Iron is another important mineral. The function of iron is that it lets blood carry oxygen to cells and it helps produce hemoglobin. Food sources of iron include dried fruits, eggs, legumes, whole grains, leafy vegetables, red meat, and fish. If a person has a deficiency of iron, it is known as anemia. And anemia is when a person has low red blood cell formation. Iron deficiencies or anemia is fairly common, especially in teenage females, because they are not getting enough of the mineral iron, which can lead to someone possibly being very, very cold all the time, having cold extremities such as hands and feet. That would be an example of a symptom that someone might exhibit if they have anemia, which is an iron deficiency. And toxicity for iron is rare. Zinc is another important mineral that its function is to help with growth and development. It helps aid in liver function. It also is involved in an acid-base balance within our bodies, or our enzymes in our bodies. It helps with liver function and digestion. It also is relevant in bone maintenance. It helps our bodies break down carbs. It helps our immune system and is essential for smell and taste. So zinc has a lot of different functions in our body. We can find zinc in avocados, raisins, dairy, and whole grains. If we do not get enough zinc specifically in early childhood and during childhood, it can cause stunted growth and poor development. However, if our body gets too much of it, it can cause fever and nausea. So we need that right balance of the amount of zinc in our bodies because it's very important, but too much of it can make us sick. Okay, now we have fluorine. Fluorine is for the function of our teeth and bones. It works with calcium to produce tooth structure that resists acids and prevents tooth decay. If you've ever heard of the term fluoridated water, if you go to the dentist, they'll ask, do you have fluoridated tap water? That's sure they're making sure that you have access to that mineral that is going to help support your tooth structure and prevent tooth decay. Most of us get enough fluorine just by drinking water. If you only drink and cook with bottled water, you might not be getting enough fluorine. However, a dentist can easily tell if you're getting enough, too little or too much of fluorine. Fluorine can also be found in fish, eggs, milk, even some toothpaste will include it. And your dentist can also apply fluorine directly to your teeth to help with tooth decay if that's an issue. So a deficiency of fluorine would be tooth decay, but if you have too much, it can also cause tooth decay. So really with fluorine, that's why going to the dentist is so important, because they can really monitor if you have too much or too little fluorine in your diet. Now we have copper. Copper has some functions that include helping us in breathing, and it also helps with the energy to be released in the production of red blood cells. Food sources of copper include meat, egg yolks, green vegetables, grains, shellfish, and organ meats such as kidney. Toxicity includes if you have too much copper in your body, it can lead to damage in your liver, kidney, and brain. But deficiencies of copper are typically rare. Last but not least, we have iodine. Iodine is essential because it is part of the thyroid hormones that help our metabolism. The food sources of iodine include saltwater fish, so any type of fish that comes from the ocean, as well as iodinized table salt, okay? If a person has a deficiency in iodine, it can lead to a goiter. Now, a goiter is what you see here, which looks like a very swollen neck, which is actually a swollen thyroid gland. So it says when the iodine concentration in the blood is low, the thyroid gland enlarges in an attempt to trap as much iodine as possible, sometimes making a visible lump in the neck or a goiter. Okay, so a deficiency can lead to a goiter. However, iodine toxicity, there is no real danger in having too much iodine because it is not considered toxic.